Richard Wilson, and I'm on a driving tour of the UK.
And the thing about the country lanes is that you never know what you're going to see when you go round the corner.
But I'm doing it without the aid of modern technology. No sat-nav for me.
Very twisty-turny.
I'm using the rather splendid collection of shell guides, first published in the 1930s, to see how Britain has changed over the decades. The shell guides sent you round the counties of Britain and mapped out where to go, things to do, and even what to eat. When they first appeared, going for a drive was a pleasurable experience.
Oh, Mammy, Daddy.
Something that's harder to accomplish today.
Good, I'm trying to reverse. Oh, shut up.
But I'm sure that me and my Daimler,
Which I have christened Deborah.
will get us where we need to go. Today I'm in Devon in the southwest of England, a county well known for its stunning coastline, beautiful beaches and magnificent countryside. I'm following this guide written in the 1930s, and I'm going to take a trip to the celebrated English Riviera. Drop in one of Devon's oldest families, and follow in the footsteps of Sherlock Holmes on Dartmoor. This guide is special, as it was written by a young John Betjeman, who went on to become a much-loved broadcaster and the poet laureate.
When I read this 1936 Guide to Devon written by Sir John Betjeman, it seemed as if he was describing a Britain that's lost in time. I'd be amazed if it still exists. I want to visit the villages, countryside, seaside resorts and houses to see if the places he's mentioned in the guide are frozen in time, or have they moved into the 21st century?
My first port of call in Devon has to be the seaside, and I'm heading to Torquay, which is one of the 3 towns along the coast that make up this area that the Victorians dubbed the English Riviera, because of its balmy climate, sandy beaches and exotic palm trees. In the 30s, as motoring became popular, Torquay became easier to visit, and the glamorous resort was a place to holiday in style. I want to see what it looks like today.
Torquay can quite often look like the south of France. Torquay does not seem to have much to do with Devon. It is like a foreign seaside resort. It is impossible to dislike Torquay. So said John Betjeman, and on a day like today, he was absolutely right.
And I've spotted the perfect place to look down on the town to see if it does look like the south of France. I do love a Ferris wheel.
So here we are with the most magnificent views of Torquay.
From up here, it looks positively Mediterranean.
It is a stunning location, and it's interesting also, one of the hottest places in the UK. It gets some more sunshine, and of course we've had wonderful sunshine.
During the 19th century, Torquay mushroomed
What on earth's going on here?
into a fashionable watering place and continued to develop with the coming of the railway. The English Riviera's reputation as an opulent resort was sealed when the future Queen Victoria visited the town. Today, Torquay is a major visitor and conference destination.
I'm looking for a delete button, a silence, a mute button.
Spearheaded by the Torbay Development Agency. If you would like to find out more, please visit the local history collection at Torquay Central Library.
Ah! Now, that's interesting. When is he going to start again? So, here we are.
During the 19th century, Torquay
Oh, do shut up. The wheel's only been here for a couple of years, but the rest of Torquay looks beautifully preserved and very like the town Betjeman wrote about in 1936. That's better. Back on terra firma. It's not only the traditional charm that attracts over 3 million tourists every year to Torquay. One of the town's residents was the author, Dame Agatha Christie, and quite an industry has grown up around the famous Queen of Crime. I love a good thriller and have enjoyed her work, so I'm ditching Deborah for another old lady to go and see her home in Galpton, just 6 miles down the coast.
Welcome to the Greenway vintage bus. Our journey will take about half an hour, and I'm afraid it won't be very fast. This bus was not built for speed.
Oh good, a driver after my own heart.
Or for comfort, as you'll discover later. Hope you enjoy the journey.
Thank you. Bone shaker.
Penton Pier is just on our left as we pass by the fairground.
Oh, donkey rides. Would you like me on a donkey? So, are you an Agatha Christie fan?
I actually went to see The Mousetrap in the 70s in London. And I
Just
can't
once?
remember a thing about it.
Just once?
Just once, yeah.
What's it like driving this rather old vehicle?
It's, today is hot and heavy.
Yes, because it won't have any power steering.
No power steering, no.
Do you enjoy driving the bus? That's the other thing.
It can be hard work, but I really enjoy it.
I find it difficult enough driving Deborah the Daimler. Not sure I'd cope with this old jalopy. It's a bit lumpy and bumpy for my old bones, but I'll try and take my mind off it by enjoying the scenery. When the guide was written in 1936, Agatha Christie was one of the most popular authors in the world, but she didn't move to the house till 2 years later.
Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. This is Greenway House.
Thank you very much, John. That was lovely.
Agatha Christie and her husband, Max Mallowan, the archaeologist, bought the house in 1938 as their summer home. She called it the loveliest place in the world, and I can see straight away why she was drawn to it.
Hello, Richard. Hi,
Hello. Are you
welcome.
Belinda?
I am Richard. Welcome to Greenway. Good
Thank
journey?
you. Yes, very good. It came on the bus.
Oh, wow.
The Agatha Christie bus.
Greenway is laid out just as it would have been when Agatha lived here. Thousands of her personal belongings have been gathered and preserved, including her famous typewriter. Gosh, it feels like she was only just in the room. I can imagine her sitting here conjuring up her ingenious plots.
And she bought the house for £6,000, but she thought it was £16,000, so she was delighted to know that she'd got the price wrong.
Oh, my goodness. That was a lot of money, a big difference in those days.
Very much so.
It's a lovely room.
It is, and we've got her original Steinway piano over there.
Ah, she was very good, wasn't she?
She was a concert pianist.
Oh, really?
But an intensely private person, so she didn't like to play in public. But this is somewhere where she could actually write, and she composed some music as well.
Let's hope there isn't a murder weapon stashed away under there. I do know that Agatha and Max had some rather unusual sleeping arrangements.
This is Agatha's bedroom. And you're probably wondering why there are two beds.
No, I've read about this.
You have?
This is the husband's bed, and he was an archaeologist.
He was indeed. This was his campaign bed. So he used to take it away with him on all of his expeditions and then bring it home, and he slept much better in this bed, so hence why you have a his and a hers bed in here.
Now, that bed looks quite comfy.
It does indeed, doesn't it?
It's the pillows that give a good bed away.
I know. They don't make pillows like they used to, do
They're
they?
probably not original, are they?
They are.
The pillows?
They are indeed. I mean, do you have a little prod if you want to? See
Can
what
I?
they're like. A pillow test, you're fine.
Let me just have a... Pillows are... No, not very good.
Perhaps that's why Max didn't sleep so well anyway.
Am I allowed to sit on it?
Yes, I think you can. Special permission.
I sat on Agatha Christie's bed. Yes, it's all right.
Bit too soft or?
It's not so good as my bed.
Agatha Christie wrote 80 bestsellers over 6 decades. She created 2 of the world's most famous detectives, Miss Marple and Hercule Poirot. I think they would have enjoyed staying here, and they do retain a presence in the house's collection of first editions.
This must be a very valuable case of books, is it not?
I would anticipate it is quite expensive in there. There's a lot of money's worth of books. But you'll recognise some of the titles, I'm sure, in there as well. Murder at the Vicarage and Cat Among the Pigeons, Death in the Clouds. But she set lots of her books here in Devon. So you've got sort of like the Grand Hotel in Torquay and Burr Island, Evil Under the Sun. And this is the book that was actually set here at Greenway. Dead Man's Folly.
Dead Man's Folly. Can I hold it?
Yeah, of course you can.
Well, not many people get a chance to hold a first edition.
No, they don't.
A lot of plots.
It's amazing as an author that she had this much sort of creativity.
Well, that was fascinating. What's interesting about the house is that you're allowed to sit in the seats and all the rest of it. Lovely.
Seeing the house as Agatha lived in it is simply splendid, perfectly frozen in time, but I do wonder how such beauty could have inspired Agatha to write those dastardly murders. Well, I'm back on the road, but it's not that easy driving in Devon. The county is cursed with relentlessly narrow lanes and a conspicuous lack of passing places.
Oh, Mommy, Daddy.
Frankly, driving here is a right pain in the... Be that as it may, I bravely soldier on to my next stop, which is in rural Devon, to meet a family who have been living here for over 800 years. I'm Richard Wilson, and I'm exploring Devon. And there's no sat-nav for me. I'm using the 1936 Shell Guide written by Sir John Betjeman. I've now left the coast, and the next leg of my journey takes me into the heart of Devon countryside, and then on to the dramatic landscape of Dartmoor. In the 1936 guide, Sir John Betjeman gives the impression of a Britain that I think is long gone, and I'm exploring the county to see if the Devon he talked about survives today. I was intrigued to read in the guide about a family who have lived in Devon for 8 centuries and they're still here. If anyone could tell me if things have changed over the years, they can. But first I have to find them. I know it's somewhere off the B3212.
Very twisty. Twisty-turny.
Cheriton Bishop. Ah, that's good. Next should be Green Lane Farm.
Green Lane Farm.
Nearly there. Cheriton Bishop. That looks rather familiar.
Seem to be lost.
Right, that's it. If you want to know where to go, ask a local.
Hello.
Hello. Follow that car.
How far is it?
Just keep going on down. Don't turn anywhere, just keep following the drive and then you'll see the big driveway into the house.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Everyone down here seems to know the family.
Is that one of the Fulfords, do you think?
The Shell Guide says the house was the most exciting sight in the parish is Great Fulford. Here lives the Fulfords of Great Fulford. We are told that the Fulfords were the last family in England to keep a jester.
Hello.
I wonder if this is him.
Richard, isn't it?
Yes, Francis.
That's right.
How do you do?
And good to see you.
Very nice to see you.
Welcome. Yeah, to Great Fulford, yes.
Thank you very much for
Come on
letting us
into the Great Hall.
after you.
Well,
This is the Great Hall.
Yes, everything's great in this house.
The house was built in the early 16th century, but the family have lived on this site for over 800 years, and in the Middle Ages amassed riches by marrying wealthy heiresses.
What was the heyday of the house?
I always say, rather sadly, that I think we peaked too early. I think we peaked about 1530, 1550, and it's been quite a long decline ever since.
Back in the 30s, Great Fulford was a fully fledged aristocratic estate with staff, and it was said to be packed full of tapestries and considerable pictures. The Fulfords have managed to hang on to the house, but as they've fallen on hard times, the doors have had to open.
When I'm showing people around this house, especially if they're Americans, I describe it rather being like a Hollywood film actress. The bones are ancient, but the skin changes.
Well, the house might have seen better days, but some of its heritage is still intact.
And this painting here is...
That's King Charles. That's King Charles I, given by Charles II to our family as some minor recompense for fighting in his father's cause. And I love it. It's a really good Baroque picture. Because
is it very valuable?
I don't know if it's enormously valuable to me. I don't think it's very valuable artistically.
Right.
You know, I don't, luckily, because otherwise we'd have sold it, I suppose.
One thing that hasn't changed over the years is that Great Fulford is very much a family home.
But my children built themselves a bar, so they could have this as a party room, well away from me, you see. So they could be drunk and be sick and do all the ghastly things which teenagers want to do without making me cross. or really, I don't get cross very much, my wife does, but that is my wife, there she is.
Oh, is that her?
Yeah, her father was a district commissioner in Tanganyika at the time when we had that marvellous thing called an empire. Oh, God, Hallican days.
Would you like the empire back?
Well, I think they did rather well. I think it was rather a good thing. Yeah, I think the empire was marvellous. I think the wives, you know, women always cause trouble. I think they wanted to stop in about...
Despite their obvious ups and downs, the Fulfords have managed to survive and remain in the house of their ancestors, but I do wonder if they will still be around in another 800 years' time. My guidebook says you mustn't leave the county without visiting one of its most dramatic natural landscapes, and I've no intention of ignoring that advice.
An ice cream on a day like today is ideal. The Dartmoor Visitor Centre might do a very fine range of ice creams.
Dartmoor covers nearly 400 square miles of moorland and is one of the most famous beauty spots in the county. The guidebook says Dartmoor is not like any other part of the country. The bare horizons, crested by sharply peaked tors, make these solitudes a tonic for crowded civilization.
There's a very fine view of Hay Tor. If this is a visitor centre, I don't see any chance of an ice cream. But hey, look at the view.
These moors didn't just captivate John Betjeman when he wrote the Shell Guides, they also became world famous when Sir Arthur Conan Doyle used them as the setting for The Hound of the Baskervilles, a tale of local squire Sir Henry Baskerville, who is terrorized by a demonic hound. And meeting me here is Dave Guest, a Sherlock Holmes expert.
The story is based on some hound legends that Conan Doyle was told by Bertram Fletcher Robinson.
Yeah.
He met Bertram.
He was the
Robinson.
man who helped him with Hound of the
that's
Baskervilles.
Right. And he met him when they were coming back from the Boer War at the beginning of the 20th century. And he actually came down and visited and stayed at Park House, which is in Ipplepen, just a little way off the moors here. And he was driven around the moors by Bertram's coachman, who was Henry Baskerville.
Yeah.
And that's where he got the name.
Oh, right. Now, this current series is hugely popular worldwide.
Yes, yes.
Of course, I was in an earlier series. I played in the Red-Headed League.
You were Duncan Ross, weren't you?
Duncan Ross, well done. Very good.
A Moriarty henchman, so you realise I'm going to be blackballed for even speaking to you.
Even on a beautiful day, the moor still feels slightly spooky and sinister. The thought of being around here after dark is quite chilling, but luckily I have my Deborah to spirit me away.
The Devon I've seen does seem like a slice of Britain from a bygone era.
Thanks to John Betjeman for pointing me in the direction of some stunning locations in this part of the world, many of which have remained frozen in time. And of course, Devon
Does have the best ice cream.
Next time in Oxfordshire, I'm invited to a bizarre theatrical evening. At Blenheim Palace, I get down to some hard work below stairs.
I didn't realise I was going to have to work.
And in Henley-on-Thames, I'm kitted out in style.
Doesn't quite match, no.
Well, could David have to face up to his worst nightmare next? He's not giving up without a fight back in Coronation Street. Then in the brand new series of Broadchurch, more secrets are emerging about the girls in the Sandbrook case. Later tonight at 9.